May I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on here? I apologize for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I am, of course, your host with the most. Where's my background there? Keep removing the stuff. I am, of course, your host with the most Feel Better. I'm the podcast mogul. I'm here to help you grow your show, monetize it, and make sure that you're having a great time. If you are currently watching live, make sure you hit that with a hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, make sure you hit that with a hashtag replay. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about guest funnel, building your guest funnel. The first thing you want to know about a guest funnel is you want to make sure it is good. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be amazing. It just has to be good. How do you make it good? Well, that's fairly easy. I'm just trying to give me 1 second. Hold on. Need to get this tight. There we go. Get this lined up. Awesome. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So the way you want to make it good. You don't want to make it perfect. You want to build out a funnel that brings a guest from just aware of your podcast to being a fan of your podcast. And the reason why you want to do that is because then they will share your podcast. If they share your podcast, that's you're hijacking their audience that they have spent time growing and monetizing. So that's what you want to do. You want to hijack their audience. And how you do that is by creating a good funnel. So I just recently was a guest on a top 100 podcast. That's why we got this nice new haircut, and their funnel is superb. Again, if you're watching live, hit us with the hashtag live, or if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay gang. But now, this is how amazing their funnel is. They only allow you to book 7 days out. So you can't book before 7 days. And what they do is they send you an email every single day talking about their podcast, but also their business, because their podcast is their business, which is an amazing funnel building thing because it makes you understand. So I'll explain who their ideal guest is. So their ideal guest is six-figure entrepreneurs who make six figures. The man is starting a second podcast called The 5-Figure Entrepreneur, 7, 8, and obviously he just wants to take over the world in the podcasting, and his goals are amazing. And I have a secret that's going to be coming up, and it's a birthday gift that he's given me. So just a little FY, make sure you stay here and you're glued and you're subscribed to my email list, which you can do by just going over to investinyourself.pod.com/newsletter, or you can click the links down below. But anyways, his funnel is very interesting because it starts at the top. Is you sign up on his website, you answer a few questions, and you get a video saying, hey, this is what's going on. Let me explain the whole process, my mindset behind the podcast. And then boom, you can read some more stuff. You learn a bit more about it. It's a beautifully done website. Love it. From there, you get 7 days of emails. Each day is an introduction. One is an introduction about who the creator of the podcast is. The next day is, and then he does something really interesting. He gets you to link off of the newsletter to something else. I'm not going to explain what it is because this is his formula, and I don't want to sell it without his permission. I haven't taken it. Next, you get one who is the host. You learn about the host, followed by when talking about some of the guests, some of the wins the businesses have, some of the things, actionable advice that you can do, you can use yourself to build your business or your podcast. So following that funnel, it was very interesting read, and it was very enjoyable. It's an enjoyable time, and I would highly suggest you guys look at how you can build your funnel so that it's enjoyable and it's memorable. People don't remember what you tell them, they remember how you make them feel, and I like to make people feel better. But that's why my name is Feel Better. But here's the thing. if you have a podcast that's not necessarily meant for entrepreneurs, maybe it's meant for people talking about their feelings of inadequacy, or they talk about the struggles they face and how they overcame it. Now, you can do a 7-day email sequence where you go, hey, you talk. The first one is you talk about the show. Hey, this is why I started the show. Da, da, da. You put out the reasons and you say, here's who I'm trying to help. And then he's like, tomorrow I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Next day, you introduce yourself. You say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. If you have a business that you're using your podcast for, if you're a psychologist or shrink or whatever you want to call it, you can say, this is what I do. This is my business. Tomorrow I'm going to tell you a bit more about my business. And you talk about your business, and then you talk about what some of the impacts your podcast has had on people for their mental health. And then you can say, hey, if you're interested, here's a group, here's a free lesson, boom. And then they go, okay, here. And then the day before, or the days before, you go, here's what we're looking for. Make sure you have this, make sure you have that. Like, say, you need to be quiet in a quiet place. You need to have good lighting. You need to have a good microphone. It should be higher. You should have a good microphone. And sorry, you should have a good microphone, you should have good lighting, all this stuff. So it tells you how to have the best episode. And then again, the day of the episode, you get an email saying, hey, here's the link to the email, here's the link to the podcast, here's the da 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 da, all that stuff. And you go in. And I was already sold on the show 100%. And I'm talking about it here live on my podcast. I'm talking about this guy's email sequence because it's so important. Something you guys need to know and realize, that your email sequence for your podcast guests and getting them in line with what you need from them, you can send them, hey, here are some of the questions I'm going to ask. Here are some of the things we like talking about on the show. Here are some past episodes that may be beneficial for you to understand how it works. By doing things like that, you're changing how other people view your podcast. They view it more as something worthy to be on and not just something I can just be on. Okay. Your show is something important. So you need to build out your funnel to reflect that. They may not know who you are. If they don't listen to your show, if they don't actively follow you on social media, you have to let them know who is the host, who is the creator behind the podcast. Who are you? So you want to make a sequence so that people can get into it. I understand a lot of people like, yeah, but I film a weekly show. I don't have guests. Fine. This sequence can be used for people joining your email list that you're sending out. And if you have questions about how to build an email list, I can direct you into or what content to put in your email list. I can direct you to a podcaster who does amazing work with that. Her name is Ashley DeLuca. She was a guest on the show. I can put you in touch with her. She has an amazing sequence that helps podcasters out, or any type of entrepreneur in the digital world, deal with their email list and how to build one. She's fantastic, and I'm planning on hiring her to help me with mine. Anyways, that's all to say is, make sure, if you have any type of podcast, you have to make sure that there's a nice sequence, how you want. Start off with just one email. Start with one email saying, hey, here's the link to book. That's it. All you want is them to book. So it makes your life a little easier. Remember, you want to make it as simple as possible for you to get guests. So your first thing is, either you have a landing page where they sign up to an email sequence, like what I do for my shows. That email sequence brings them from aware of, or completely blinded by, with no knowledge of what the show is, to raving fan. And how you get them to do that is you say, hey, I need you to fill out this admin form. From the admin form, you can go, okay, here's a little story about me and why I started the podcast. Also, here's the link to book. Funny story. You go, here's the admin form, and the reason why I do this is XYZ. Then you go, here's the booking link to book, and here's why I do it, XYZ. Here's a little bit more about why I started my show. Here's a little bit more about me. So all that is 4 emails already. So, hey, here's a funny story about why I use this booking link, or this booking admin form. Here's a funny story why I need you to book using this program. Here's the story about why I started my podcast. Here's the story about who I am, or here's my story. That's 4 podcasts right here. 5. Here's a just a breakdown on how we're going to do the podcast and some questions. Hey, my buddy, the real man himself, Wiz, thank you so much or Wilfredo, sorry, thank you for being here. You are awesome. You have a great podcast. This episode could probably help you. Because it's the guest funnel and you have a lot of guests. So yeah, like I was saying, the 6th one, it was booking link or admin form. Booking link. Here's a bit about the podcast. Here's a bit about me. Here's a bit about my business. If you're using your podcast for business, if not, here's a link to leave a review, or here's some episodes to listen to the show. Right? These episodes are pretty much big. The day before, you go, here's the questions. Sorry, the questions before. Then you have here are the like best practices to being on the show, and then the 7th one is here's the link. Looking forward to seeing you. I would suggest that you have somehow create a Google Calendar. You create the events in your Google Calendar so that you're always aware of, and you can join that. You can have them join because you just have to put invite guests. Google is how I run most of my business. I have a few other applications that I use, but Google is the main hub of it because it is amazing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions about running your guest funnel, how to create a funnel, please do make sure you put it in the comments down below, because I want to help you grow your funnel so that it's just a continual cycle, so that you can always have guests. So I'm going to help you with that. Next month, as a suggestion from one of the new members in the group, which please go over and say hi to them. Any welcoming post I do, please make sure you welcome all our new members. We're trying to grow this into a very active community, and I'm looking forward to having you guys' help. But what you need to do, and if you are listening to this, because this does go out as an audio file and a podcast, please visit feelbetterinc.com/Facebook group or feelbetterinc.com/FB group. And you'll be able to come join this wonderful group that I go live in, which is the Better Podcasting Growth Group. Oh, wait, hold on. I apologize here. Let's go to here we go. It's the Better Method of Daily Audience Growth for Independent Podcasters. I'm doing this for independent podcasters. So again, that is the Better Method of Daily Audience Growth for independent podcasters. So please do come join this group. Make sure you find us over on Facebook, or just going into that. The show notes will have the link. I thank you so much for listening, and remember to invest in yourself to grow your podcast.